Well, great. I chopped up some furniture. I put something in there, and it's fucking popping like shit. Fireworks. I wonder what I put in there. Oh my god! Go boom. What kind of fire did I put in there? So, all right, let's have fireside chat. Like the higher side chats, but the fireside chats, like the one president that Greg Carlwood got it. Here's my fireside chat, and what it is, it's the emergence of your left and right brain, as above, so below. Knife to the suke man, or maybe not. The flesh knife, suke, the soul. See, that's what I'm saying. They tell you the soul you're supposed to kill, but that's who you are. I mean, it's been flip-flopped. They say this is the Holy Spirit when but fucking Alex Crowley says that's your soul you need to listen to. That's who you really are. When you don't think it's yourself, that you're talking to yourself, and sometimes your personality doesn't want to fucking do something. Your ego, you're like, fuck that, and your little soul voice goes, "That's not the way to go, bitch." And I'll quit swearing eventually. Ganja, ganja, ganja. I knew it took off. Well, I'll have some coals in. I'll have to slow it down. Oh, hey, where's that wood? Let me bring that wood in and dry it out. What do you say? Oh, no, I want. Here, see, you got some logs. You see, I'm gonna save this one. This one's got ferns growing on it, so I gotta get it away from there too, so it's dry out. Get in here. Honey bunny, you can't go out there. You're hiding. Oh, I got a piece out. This is what I'm doing. You're a part of it. It's all right if you're trying to fucking haul ass. This should dry out pretty soon. It's going like this. I should throw the wet one on there eventually. Oh shit, that's gonna fall out. Oh, hold on. Oh fuck, it's hot. Shit, it's hot. I didn't realize it was gonna go. I want to make sure we got some coals. Oh shit. Camp down, Camp down, Lacey, sing the song, doo-dah, doo-dah. You say that backwards. It's like, talking about suicide, hanging yourself. That's why I need a poker. God, this fucker. This shit's hot. You want that? Take it. Come on, jump up. Jump up. Come on, come on. Jump up. Ready to jump. Even though you got your nuts, you are, man. Good boy. You've probably never been inside a house before. I don't know. I'll have to ask. I gotta talk to the son. Oh, there's another fart. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho. I got this recorded here. I want to play it. Here's 44 minutes. What's this? Hold on a second.
Showing the Union Jack, the esoteric card for the convergence of the triads itself.
What was that last night? Oh, I didn't have to record that last shit?
One of the things to keep in mind is that in the human kingdom,
4 hours, hold on.
being more like in between science, they call it like, what are they called?
That's what this
Yeah,
is.
but some incarnation they will. Of our, it's our identification with our mental body, our emotional experiences, and our physical sensations. Different than the traditional, and it says that it is suggested that the language in the world comes to understanding the personality dimension of life. That once a person has come to that, to see the usefulness of esoteric astrology, awakening occurs in one life or another. Life is never the same. The great challenges of Sagittarius, they understand how to treat the personal process of time. And once that misinterpret this very easy, I'm going to embellish it for clarity. Astrology.
Fuck! God damn it.
This is William.
Fuck. We have all the time in the world. Calm down, Gregory. I keep forgetting.
It's good to be back. It's been a year since I've been here, and it just has zoomed by. So, my goal today is to share with you some of the fundamentals of esoteric astrology, which is a little bit different than traditional astrology in a couple of ways. Fundamentally, esoteric astrology is much more related to, or is useful to people that have actually had an awakening, to people that have an awakening to their higher promptings. Traditional astrology is very good when it comes to understanding the personality dimension of life. But once a person has come to that time in life or that particular incarnation where there's a deeper something being felt, a higher kind of love being felt, a recognition of a kind of selfless, almost Christ-like love being felt. That's called the awakening. It's a big, big point in the evolutionary journey of the human soul over the vastness of time. And once that awakening occurs in one life or another, life is never the same. And it's at that point where we begin to see the usefulness of esoteric astrology. Because esoteric astrology has got a fundamental couple of goals. One is, in a certain sense, it's designed to help us understand how does the soul want to pattern the nature of consciousness in the life, and also how may the lower self get in the way, and what can be done about it. So the premise behind this whole philosophy, or I should say the astrology portion of this philosophy, is that a person has recognized their own duality. They've recognized that higher and lower. And this particular type of astrology is trying to cater to the higher, the soul, and help you understand how to transform the lower, the personality, so that it becomes the rightful servant to the higher. And that's the goal. The soul is who you truly are, and ultimately your personality, its destiny is to just be the outer garment. Its destiny is to be the instrument through which the soul tries to interface in the world, and in the process of interfacing, make an uplifting contribution to something beyond yourself. Every human soul wants to serve, and yet we have to recognize it, and we have to understand how the personality needs to conform to its expectations. So the goal tonight is kind of twofold. I'm going to do a PowerPoint with you today, And the first few slides are just going to be showing you a couple of major distinctions between esoteric astrology and traditional astrology. And then I'm going to take you on a journey, and I'm going to take you through the 12 signs of the zodiac, and I'm going to give you a higher understanding of each of these signs. And hopefully, for those of you who feel life is really a spiritual journey, hopefully you get some insights into your own journey itself. That's my goal. Sound okay? Okay, so let's begin. Esoteric astrology versus personal or traditional. So esoteric astrology focuses on the purpose of the soul and its struggle to transform the personality. But personal astrology focuses on the personality development and its expression. Okay? Next. Because the soul is found on the abstract plane of mind, an esoteric astrologer will interpret a chart abstractly. So you will see as I go through this, you'll see that the language I use will have a more abstract quality to it, because that's why the whole philosophy is abstract. Those of you who have studied Blavatsky, and those of you know it's very abstract, but there's a reason for that. Because your causal body, your soul, is found on the abstract mental plane, the higher mental plane. And so the more we exercise and develop our abstract consciousness.
I'm going to start over. I'm going to do the DUI. What's your call recording? Doesn't sound like that. Yeah, totally. I'm using my witch's stick. My Phantom of the Opera. Good boy, Clayton.
It's good to be back. It's been a year since I've been here, and it's just zoomed by. So, my goal today is to share with you some of the fundamentals of esoteric astrology, which is a little bit different than traditional astrology in a couple of ways. Fundamentally, esoteric astrology is much more related to, or is useful to, people that have actually had an awakening, to people that have an awakening to their higher promptings. Traditional astrology is very good when it comes to understanding the personality dimension of life. But once a person has come to that time in life or that particular incarnation where there's a deeper something being felt.
You gotta find the balance, man. Women, children, universe. The ball and the lance. The ball and the lance, the circle and the lance, the ball and the center of the pole, the ball and the lance, the spear of destiny.
In a couple of ways.
The phone's getting hot.
Fundamentally, esoteric astrology
Is that hot?
is much more related to,
Melt it.
or it's useful to people that actually have an awakening. People that have an awakening to their higher promptings. Traditional astrology is very good when it comes to understanding the personality dimension of life. But once a person has come to that time in life or that particular incarnation where there's a deeper something being felt, a higher kind of love being felt.
He's a good puppy. You're a good boy. You like the fire? Is that nice, huh? Boy. Let's see. I got started 3 times, so but it's good to hear it 3 times ago. Maybe that 3rd time to listen to it. See what I do too. It's all what to do. Who's the best man? John the 6th thought. It'll come back on. Let's enjoy the fire. Ganja woman.
Hours.
I was so excited. I was trying to like write shit down or send it to people online. I'm getting on Facebook, man. I know they don't want to know.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock. There we go. This is awesome. Da-da-da-da. It's good to be back. It's been a year since I've been here, and it's just zoomed by. So, yeah, my goal today is to share with you some of the fundamentals of esoteric astrology, which is a little bit different than traditional astrology in a couple of ways. Fundamentally, esoteric astrology is much more related to, or is useful to people that have actually had an awakening, to people that have an awakening to their higher promptings. Traditional astrology is very good when it comes to understanding the personality dimension of life. But once a person has come to that time in life or that particular incarnation where there's a deeper something being felt, a higher kind of love being felt, a recognition of a kind of selfless, almost Christ-like love being felt, that's called the awakening. It's a big, big point in the evolutionary journey of the human soul over the vastness of time. And once that awakening occurs in one life or another, life is never the same. And it's at that point where we begin to see the usefulness of esoteric astrology. Because esoteric astrology has got a fundamental couple of goals. One is, in a certain sense, it's designed to help us understand how does the soul want to pattern the nature of consciousness in the life, and also how may the lower self get in the way, and what can be done about it. So the premise behind this whole philosophy, or I should say the astrology portion of this philosophy, is that a person has recognized their own duality. They've recognized that higher and lower, and this particular type of astrology is trying to cater to the higher, the soul, and help you understand how to transform the lower, the personality, so that it becomes the rightful servant to the higher. And that's the goal. The soul is who you truly are, and ultimately your personality, its destiny is to just be the outer garment. Its destiny is to be the instrument through which the soul tries to interface in the world, and in the process of interfacing, make an uplifting contribution to something beyond yourself. Every human soul wants to serve, and yet we have to recognize it, and we have to understand how the personality needs to conform to its expectations. So the goal tonight is kind of twofold. I'm going to do a PowerPoint with you today. And the first few slides are just going to be showing you a couple of major distinctions between esoteric astrology and traditional astrology. And then I'm going to take you on a journey. And I'm going to take you through the 12 signs of the zodiac. And I'm going to give you a higher understanding of each of these. And hopefully, for those of you who feel life is really a spiritual journey, hopefully you get some insights into your own journey itself. That's my goal. Okay, so let's begin. Esoteric astrology versus personal or traditional. So esoteric astrology focuses on the purpose of the soul and its struggle to transform.
Oh, it says high temperatures detected.
Personal astrology focuses on the personality, development, and its expression.
All right, I'll back up.
Okay.
I'm going to put this on Bluetooth and it's there. Oh, hope I hit that.
Because the soul is found on the abstract plane of mind, an esoteric astrologer will interpret a chart abstractly.
do this, you will see that the language I use will have a more abstract quality to it, because that's why the whole philosophy is abstract. Those of you who have studied Blavatsky, and those of you who know, it's very abstract, but there's a reason for that. Because your causal body, your soul, is found on the abstract mental plane, the higher mental plane. And so the more we exercise and develop our abstract consciousness, the more you're in the neighborhood of the soul. Personal astrologers tend to interpret a chart concretely, at least comparatively speaking.
Split in half. Snort, 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 snort.
Esoteric astrology, the rising sign holds the clue to the soul's incarnational intention. It's an important concept. In traditional astrology, the rising sign, which is the sign that's cresting at the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth, and it's really important in traditional astrology, but when a person has had the awakening, has a deeper sense of their soul call, then the rising sign has a higher meaning, as suggested here. You see, in the bottom part, for personal astrology, the rising sign reveals the nature of persona and its expression. In other words, the rising sign for traditional astrologers is that it represents appearance, persona, how you are seen in the world, or how you would like to be seen. Esoteric astrology says, well, yes, until you wake up to that higher prompting. And then this higher understanding of the rising sign is really crucial. You see, the reason for that is that this is the sign that's in the east, and the east is the direction of spirit, and it's rising. So it can symbolize the soul's rising intention. In a way, it's your soul sign. Probably more accurate, though, if I were to say it this way, if you could live the higher qualities of your rising sign, well, that's like a gate right to the soul. So if you don't know your rising sign, I encourage you to learn what it is, okay? Next. Esoteric astrology uses 3 levels of ruling planets for each sign. From this, the spiritual dimension of the sign can be revealed. Now, this is an aspect that there's no way I could fully get into this tonight, but I'll just say this, that I don't know if you know what rulers are. I'm curious, how many of you are really familiar with astrology? Just kind of
A ruler. He meant like ruling over you.
Every sign of the zodiac has a planet that rules it, which means represents it.
Not a ruler.
And yet, traditional astrology has a tier of rulers that are useful and correct as it pertains to the consciousness of the personality. But there's a higher tier of rulers.
Happy birthday to you.
Than the traditional. And it's suggested that those planets hold the soulful vibration associated with that sign. You see, one of the big differences between traditional and esoteric is that traditional astrology has a more monolithic approach, but esoteric astrology takes into account that people are actually at different levels of consciousness, and that has to be included in the nature of the interpretation. 2 people could have exactly the same chart. One is a very young soul and one is a very old soul, and yet often people kind of interpret it the same, but it's far from the same. And that's one of the beauties of esoteric astrology. It takes into consideration the hierarchical dimensions of evolution itself. Okay? So here it is. Personal astrology uses only the traditional rulers. These are useful, but only as it pertains to the personality, not the soul. Okay? All right. A couple more. Esoteric astrology considers the moon to be the major liability of a person's chart, particularly after the age of 35. I'm looking at your faces. Many of you are probably in that category. I know I am too. Whereas traditional astrology, personal astrology, considers the moon as the symbol of a person's emotional tendencies and instinctual patterns. And that's true. It is. But many times, to the person on the path, the moon can represent instinctual patterns that can actually defeat the soul from being more effective in the life. because it's as if the soul, it's representing instinctual consciousness. The soul that can have the ability to get grip on.
Hope you're the
One of the great challenges of evolution is to handle the problem of the moon in your chart. And the general rule of thumb is for wherever the moon is found, is that whatever sign it's in, and assuming you're on the path, it either means that there's going to be too much of that energy woven into the instinctual dimension of consciousness, or the opposite, not enough of it. Or the third possibility is unstable. Sometimes too much, sometimes not enough. Okay.
Look, I got a fire here.
So what I'm
burn your house
as I go through these, I'm going to show you the meaning of Aries and the Aries of the signs. I'm going to give
It's not
you
before the bottom.
I can't stay long. I'm just stopping.
for each of the signs of the zodiac.
I love the job
So
early.
when you
I
think of
just
Aries,
couldn't
go back.
do it.
When you think of
Yeah, I can
Aries,
fall on the fucking roof.
the typical way we think of that sign is it's a powerful sign. It's a sign that has a lot of fire in it.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the warrior on the march.
Well,
Mars.
it's fine. You can drink all you want. I did the same thing.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I just think
I didn't even ask.
So that means, hey, I'm in the dead alley right now. I don't even know how to handle it.
Yeah, bro, what does that look like?
It's like, I was on right there in the center of the ring. My hat was on a diamond right there in the center of the ring.
Right here.
And but it's something I'm not even positive how to handle it. I'm not even positive how to handle it.
Archetypes of God.
Alright, well, I didn't know. You got pictures on your phone?
You see, Aries is
No, I didn't take any pictures.
Well, I'll still go with you. If you go tomorrow,
I go tomorrow again. Yeah, I got it. I gotta go Monday to see my son.
I don't mean it in the sense of, oh,
I keep trying to go.
that sort of, no.
I can't.
What I mean is,
I can't entertain the dog enough, man. He's to the point now he's so relaxed that
you decide
if
for your own higher
I gotta like play with
consciousness.
his constantly getting in there. Every time I go in here with his
Larger
heart.
understandings of the
Yeah,
cycle.
they didn't
You know,
worry
the set
about
is
the
the
dog.
greatest.
These guys over there.
That's your
Hey,
own
you dog.
higher soul.
Cool.
Okay.
He's
All you want to say is you dog.
Oh, that's what
Okay.
I was looking for that. He took it up. Susie, good boy, Susie. He's knocking the door. Go across the road.
Yeah, man.
That's what it says in the book. Have a look at my head.
Emerging on humanity's horizon.
I want to wash my hands.
Being a voice
Got this.
that supports those new and emerging paradigms. So it's a futuristic sign. It's a pioneering sign. And it's a very strong, it's the first sign of zodiac, very strong because it has to be strong. If you're an Aries individual who's on the path and you sense new ideas and you want to bring them forward, you gotta be strong because humanity is governed by inertia. And if you're going to initiate the new, it takes a lot of power to move something into the field of inertia. So that's why Aries is so strong.
Oh, I'm listening to this.
Chart compromise that. So as I go through these,
Eric.
please understand I'm talking about them in their kind of pure sense. Realize that a chart is very complex and there's many, many other variables that can modify things, but I just want you to understand the fundamentals on a higher level of the signs themselves, okay? Now, as I said, every sign of the zodiac has a sacred mantra that I'm going to share with you. Now, this is a sentence in English, and it's said to be the soul speaking in this sign.
No, I just ate it. It didn't be too bad. I think it's pretty good.
So what, you got 2 falls off the roof now?
That's why I'm glad you say.
No, I know. I was there at the first one.
The soul speaking Aries.
Yeah. And what's the most you had on the job?
Well, this one right here,
No, you've been up to 3.
I didn't fall off. I didn't fall off.
Maybe explain because
Yeah, I didn't fall off.
this is very
You did?
No,
I'm
I
going
just
to
saw
embellish
that
it for
about.
clarity.
Oh, you slid down the
I am my
back?
higher consciousness.
Yeah,
I, the
Really?
I, the solar cells.
Well, at least you're fucking the jacket, but I don't hear the jacket.
That's what Aries is really about. It has nothing to do
That
with
jacket's been through some motorcycle
to bring
crashes
forth
and
a new
everything.
idea without distraction.
Oh, alright.
It
But
requires
where this mother?
Birthday! It's my birthday today, bro.
Where in the fuck did that come from?
On someone's donkey butt.
Oh my God!
Better keep them
Where
butt.
the fuck did that come
Before you're
from?
on the path and you're in Aries,
I
Mars is
smell my arm
fuel
and
that
don't
you
smell
use
like
to
that.
bring forth the new.
Where the fuck did that come from?
A
By
stork.
the way,
You got that for your birthday?
Yeah, pretty much.
Today is really your birthday, huh?
I mean,
I didn't
I
see-
wish you happy birthday.
Hey, look.
Look
Look at this sweatshirt I got. Look at this
brain
is
charging forward without right sight, without right
death to
So,
circumcision.
on negative side of Aries.
I'm fucking serious, a heart attack, bro. There's a whole fucking people to
Where you
wake
got
up.
that from?
Until you start to
The stork brought it. They brought it to me.
because the entire rule
Stork.
is not
The
Mars.
stork. You know the
entire ruler
baby?
is Mercury. And Mercury is the messenger of the gods. In Greek mythology, Mercury is Hermes. And so it's the power of thought
Why
itself
are you gonna be mad
that
at me
you want
for
to use to move
that?
something forward.
All
Instead
right.
of using in astrology, your emotions to fuel the attention, you use the very power inherent in the new idea itself as your motivating force for getting something in the world. Okay, I'm gonna. I just realized that because this PowerPoint is being
You cut
played,
down your fireplace, you fucking
it's
flew
supposed to
up.
be the.
No, the flu's fine. That's just the plywood, dude.
Okay, so all you do
All
is
I gotta do is take that saw. All I gotta do is take that sawzall, cut a little bit more, and cut the bottoms out, cut the top out. I gotta cut at an angle, it'll slide right off.
But you cut the flue, you cut the flue, you're gonna let the heat come out.
No, I just gotta take the cap off and put it back on, and somehow it's sturdy enough it won't fall down.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure you don't set your
Well,
house.
when you think of Taurus, you need to think
No,
of,
not that.
rather this it's a Earth sign, there's a sense of stability, there's a sense of.
Starting on fire? No. I don't care if someone gets it. I still won't start on
It's
fire.
okay.
Want to start a fire?
But kind
I
of
said,
a
I don't
want
varying
to
steadiness.
No, I said.
Get back up.
Here's the
I
fire
can
meeting
get
for.
some wood and pile it up in your living room and say, oh
The
goddamn,
desire to
I
reveal the light of divinity hidden
would be
within.
talking about we were roasting
In
marshmallows.
ancient literature, Taurus has been called the sign of the light.
They got out of
The light
hand.
bringer.
Right? Yeah, I was putting this over there. Fuck it.
We
But it's not light
had
in the way you think.
marshmallows and they got out of
It has
hand.
everything to do spiritually with
Hey, do you have a beer in there? It's not open?
as a function of revelation.
I really don't want this anyway. The Mars.
I don't want to.
Taurus is the fourth way sign.
Oh,
And the fourth way, one of the attributes of the fourth way is beauty. That's why
Well,
Taurus
I'm
is
told maybe
traditional
should bring
astrology. Taurus rules
Well, you
gardens.
can drive home.
Taurus rules
What's that?
ecosystems.
And then
It's,
That's not
it's
bad,
often
man.
in May, and May is when everything is coming to life. You can kind of understand why Taurus is connected to beauty.
now Jimmy gave me some money.
But
And
on this
so,
higher
but I
level,
got a job to do tomorrow.
Taurus
I'm
has to do
willing to
with
pay for it.
revealing, revelation.
But goddamn,
Here's an
bitch
example,
got away.
just to highlight this. And I think I will use an artist. It's a good way of
You
doing
don't
this.
want to?
Over here, we have an image on the wall here, and this tapestry is beautiful. Now,
I can
when you
say
look
I
at a
can
visual
pay.
image like this, everything you see,
Yeah,
all
I'll go to work
the
with you, Mom.
shapes, all the colors, the lines.
Well, I gotta do some with the dog.
Just
See, he
about
gets out of there now.
Just about
He's
the
not.
Dog is on your
But
neighbor.
when forms
Nah,
are
well,
rightly
just
related
probably
to
across
each
the
other, something comes out of that paint
Or
that
better, last night,
tapestry.
the neighbor over there who's got the goats brought him over to me.
See, beauty is actually something
You
that
know?
arises through
Oh, so what's that wood I put in there? There's some wood in here. Fuck. There's some wood in here that turns into shotguns. What?
That sounds like cedar.
Huh? It's cedar?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Bobby, that's cedar.
That is cedar. Where did that come from? That's what is that? No, I got it. Well, this I know this is a mahogany. It was some kind of I don't know what it was.
Mahogany burns small.
Oh yeah, that's what it's hard.
This here was
That's right. Like oak.
ever.
creating the beauty.
Just one piece of wood.
That's tonight. That's a good night's sleep night. With temperance.
And this symbol of form is actually just to
But the
reveal
cypress, you won't pop
it's
and
already
crack.
there. It's intuitive.
Cypress one.
And
The
it's not
cypress
just art
will.
inside. I'll give you an
Cypress
example.
will crack and pop, but
He lives in
mahogany,
he's very
this
Tory.
here,
Clearly on the
this
path.
motherfucker we like
He's a double Torian, actually.
8
And
hours.
he doesn't have an artistic mind.
How's your gun working? Are you using your framer?
I
Or
think
your
it's the
roofing
man
gun?
with
Did
the
you fix it?
To be honest with you.
Or you still have to fuck around if you get a new one? Oh, money?
In LA,
No,
and he's always supervising other people in the department. And he's always asking himself, what is watching the work in the
I know.
environment.
I'll come
He's always
out
asking
there and look
himself,
at what
simplify
you've
this
done.
task and maybe eliminate this and maybe
Well, I
merge
can't
these
read.
to make it all more efficient.
I know. So the dog, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Because when we talk
See,
about
that guy tore down my back fence.
don't confine your thinking to just
And he didn't even take that shed. We couldn't lift the thing up on the
how
shed.
you do something as a
You should
form.
have taken the gate off the trailer,
In his case,
off the back of the trailer that falls
he
down,
arranges
put some 2x6s in there, and somehow jacked up either side, dig everything jacked up either side on blocks, and just run the truck underneath it. I mean, we can move it. We don't need to do it with our bare hands, we can do it with our brains.
and has to use
Like your heart.
codes
Okay, here's the
called
saying.
words
Think with your heart and feel
to
with your
deliver
heart.
that.
Yeah.
You know?
The
Combine.
instruction of
Combine
that
the two.
language is
What,
that
you trying to get up under what?
That he wanted that little shed. Here, I need to. I'll text you afterwards.
Yeah, well, that's on him, that's on him.
Course is also the
No,
sound.
I just no. I'm talking to myself because you used to along for a ride and took
No,
the
I'm just
conversation.
saying, no, that's on him.
Wrong
How
answer.
he gets it
That's your answer. Wrong answer.
Bullseye.
I didn't have a question for you. Why do you give me an
It's
answer?
actually much
Oh,
more.
give me
Because you're talking your shit, and I can talk
Look
my
at the old
shit.
paintings
Yeah,
of the
I'm
whole.
talking about shit you want to.
Yeah, I'm listening to your shit. Truthfully, I'm listening to your shit.
Okay, he's coming to get the shed, and whose problem?
I can help them. I'm here to help everybody, bro. Like I'm going to work with you tomorrow, and I'll get paid. You know.
I don't know if you're gonna work
In fact, the
with
mantra
him,
for it
but
addresses this
if,
very thing. Let's take a look.
if he's coming to get your shed,
The soul says.
It's all right. Let's change the subject. Let's listen to this guy talk.
And when the eye is open,
well, he's kind of telling you,
Okay.
the eyes open.
The bull.
Who's
The bull, Leon.
supposed to pick up the shed?
The bull only has one eye. Is the ancient story of this bull or something
all
like
right, do
that?
we have any Gemini people in here?
And you know, hit the bull's eye.
The traditional ruler.
It's one of the constellations. And the
esoteric
ram,
ruler,
they're blind. They can't see, but they're fucking charge ahead.
Vulcan.
Yeah, I'm on that.
Vulcan.
Yeah, blind as fuck.
Remember,
Still
we're
ram
on the
ahead.
cusp.
But there's a positive side. All the constellations
Vulcan
has
is
are
said to
negative
be
or
the
kind of
blacksmith of the
dominant,
gods in
and there's
mythology.
the positive.
And Vulcan in esoteric astrology is actually believed to exist.
Vulcan.
It is said to be within the orbit of Mercury, within 8 degrees of the sun, either way. And but in etheric substance, it hasn't made its physical level yet.
Okay.
Well, I gotta heat up
And
this
Vulcan
top.
is take rock in mythology. Vulcan is
It's like
take raw
cold.
matter,
It's like a moisture.
power,
Fucking coffee or
fire,
whatnot.
and strength, shape it into something
Yeah,
luminous
burn it up. Water is a very awesome thing.
that reveals. Same idea. Okay. All right. Gemini people again.
Go home with the girl here.
Some of you go like this.
Yeah, you wanna? Are you smoking?
Okay. All
I
right.
think so. I,
So
cause
what do you
I
think
feel,
No, no,
first?
man,
You think of, you think of,
that's what I'm saying.
Where's that button?
they talk
Just
about
answer the
science of
question. Are you
personality.
smoking?
The science of personality.
I answered this.
Well, the hell you hurry. You already smelled it once.
To the soul of the personality. You might say it verticalizes. Before you're on the path, yeah, I got 2 sides of my personality, but then it shifts, and now it's the higher self and the lower self. And Gemini is also associated with communication.
I just want to get some cold. You should have saw a live
You and I are doing
YouTube.
the Gemini thing right now. This camera is also Gemini. The
I had a
internet's
great day
Gemini.
with the dog.
But when you're on the path,
Let's
and
see
maybe
what happens to him.
it's all about vertical.
He wants to.
communication.
Dude, his
It's
brain
about
is going 90 miles an
communication between
hour,
the
man.
soul and the personality.
He's like 20 million
That's
souls in
actually the
one.
higher understanding of Jupiter, of Gemini. Let me show you.
He's a 3-year-old dog, basically. He's a 3-year-old human. He's a toddler. He's in his
The
terrible
relating of the
twos.
pairs of
He's 2
opposites.
years old. Basically,
And the
he's 2. He
building of
can't
the
get up on the
Antakarana.
bed by himself. He won't jump up. I have to
Now,
pull
some
him.
of you may know what Antakarana is. Let me explain.
First one, the first few times I get to walk around, he's jumping right away. That's how he's never been like, I don't think he might not even been in a house.
It's
I
and,
don't know.
and,
I gotta
and
ask
yet
the
this
question
bridge
until I shoot. No, no.
does not exist
How
naturally.
green is this dog? Because he's fucking, he's scared as motherfucker sometimes.
And it's built when three
Like I can't open the door. He won't come in. You know, I don't know if it's because the leash banged back here and he shot like hell out the back door and went and run around for 10 minutes on the fucking road, and it's banging on the fucking
building
pavement
higher mind.
all the way. He goes down there, comes back up the rocky road behind him, and turns around. He shot. Oh no! Then he's going through the bushes, trying to find a way through the gate in the property. He couldn't figure it out. He's never been through the cabin.
He's kind of scared.
Oh yeah, he got totally freaked out, bro. And I didn't even try to run after him. I couldn't drive. I just waited until he got stuck somewhere.
No.
I was like, the first thing when he took out, I said, hope he didn't break his fucking neck. First thing I said, less than fucking 2 seconds.
So in a way, one thing
Because
you
he
need to know about
was
astrology
fucking
is that in a
shot
certain sense,
out,
all of the
man,
signs of the
fucking
zodiac
crawling.
are related
Looking
to
back,
some
thinking
way,
that,
shape, or
and it's a
form.
picture for all of
Because
us,
all
man.
of their
It's like,
representatives
you can't be
are
afraid
in
of
the
the
zodiac
shadows.
in your
That
chart.
whole lesson I experienced, everything I've experienced today is talking to me.
So it's a very,
You
very
can stay in the moment and listen to where you need to be in from your childlike heart, with your persona, listening to your soul,
in order
your
to
personality,
take
your,
this physical soul.
your all faculties. And that's what happened with him, you know, now he's getting through that fucking thing. And now he's got to rearrange it. Okay, no, it's okay.
Which, by the way,
Nothing's coming to get me. That I don't know what the fuck was chasing my ass, because it was bang,
is
bang.
a mutable sign.
And I didn't laugh 1 second. I knew where he was fucking
That's the great
loose.
irony of this.
And then I find him, so he's on the snow over there.
It's like,
Nope.
people talk about it. It's the meditation and that. It's like,
There's this cardboard on that end. There's plywood back there.
I
what
see
happened?
my other side.
So I go,
And then the waving of that
the bushes are against the snow, the car's going by, so it's freaking him out more. And then,
Let me embellish
I
it for
go
you.
get him, and I try to pull him out, I couldn't pull him out, I had to like crawl through all
I
this
see
shit
that busy
to get to him. He got cut up a little bit.
And then
And
the
then,
waning of it, which is the tide,
and I got,
grow, and I glow.
then I went to unleash him, and I thought about throwing him over the fence, I should have done that. God damn it, those bushes shooting away.
The next sign, Cancer.
But when I went up to him, you know, dogs make that
You're keeping me on track.
putrid smell,
This
like
is good.
scare away
The
people.
ruler.
Scare away the enemy.
Right?
You gotta follow your
Well, it
nose.
is.
Well, that's it too. You gotta follow your nose. You can't look with your eyes. You gotta follow your senses. Your heart.
He farted on me.
No, not
It's all about
me.
learning
His
that
glands, his fear
to
glands.
think with your heart.
It's all a picture of our lives.
Feel with your mind. A reverse pattern.
No, you
Let me
didn't.
go into it. Okay, let's just, I gotta keep my pace here, but I'll just say this really quickly. Planets are
No, I've wrecked my elbow twice in a week and a half, and the second time I hit it, I was skateboarding.
It's a
I
god.
fucked it up so bad. It was size of a
Just
grapefruit.
as the Earth has a soul and a
I
personality,
just swell up.
so too does Venus.
Oh
In
yeah.
fact, Venus is more.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Each of those planetary lives out there are their soul and personality are governed by rays. So when you think of Venus, what do you normally think of? What would come to mind normally? Love. What ray is love most associated with? Second ray. Quite right. Venus is second ray in its personality nature, but not its soul nature. The soul of Venus is actually fifth ray.
Which
Fifth ray.
part wet?
And that's the ray of higher mind. Higher mind. So this is a very complex thing, and I could take you down a lot of roads here. I'm just trying to give you a sense of
No, I put it out.
understanding that when we think about planets and their influence, we also have to think about their higher influence and their lower influence. Okay?
I got all the scabs, so
on to the next
even
sign.
if I broke my
Any cancerians in here, by the way?
fixed it.
Huh, okay. A few of you.
Bullshit.
Nice that you decided to
too.
leave the house and try and tell us.
If you got urban
Here's
swords,
cancer.
they won't fix your shit.
Building
You
the
got a
foundations of life through the warmth
Yeah,
of
Whatever.
love.
Suck. Yeah, all right. Let's
Now
go.
they won't put a cast on
You see,
anything with urban
cancer is an
swords.
amazing sign when you really get to the deeper part of it. You know,
Yeah, well,
traditionally
they got
it's
this
associated
broad
with
shit. Then if you want to talk that shit.
the
Yeah,
home and the
no,
nest
they won't do
and
any
security.
cast
You know,
on it.
there's a lot of truths about all of that.
I wish I had something.
But let me just say
I'll take
that
a cough to
to start is that cancer
You
is
wanna
one of the
talk
most
about? No.
Christ-filled signs of his
No.
life. Personally, I would put Cancer and Pisces as the most Christ-filled.
Well,
Although the Christ
it's
principle
always nice.
manifests differently
Text me.
between those
I'll
two.
come by in the morning.
Yeah,
I'll text
I'll
you.
send you a shout out.
And in Cancer,
We all
that
see
Christ
It's
principle
all outside.
it manifests as nurturing, wise, supportive love. And again, I'm talking about it in its purity without all of the other things that added flavor and differences and stuff. So in its own right, it's that way. And when you're on the path, one of the big things in Cancer that you have to understand is that if Cancer is about the home, well then, what you really discover is you got to redefine what the home is. And the big message for Cancer is this: the home, in the truest sense, is not the four walls we live in. Instead, it's important for the Cancerian
I'm listening
to
to
see
shit
the entirety of his or her life as if it were their home. Homes that belong to them. And that every department of the life, career, friendships, relationships, interests, all of those are like larger rooms in this larger home
Hey,
that
Zeusy.
is the disciple's life. And always the big
Dr.
question
Seuss.
is how well
Dr.
lit
Seuss
are
is
those
in the
rooms.
house. He's got all the prescriptions. Oh, I'm sorry, Zeus.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay.
It is Cancer in a spiritual sense. Now, we need to get other Cancer is a diffuse sign. It's not a goal-oriented sign. It's just a sign that says, be the best in every situation. Make the
Come on,
best
Zeus.
of you radiate through
Now,
every
see, he wants to
window
stay
of every
outside now. I
one
gotta
of
shut
those
that door
signs
down.
of life.
Oh, he's coming? No, not
It's an
you.
amazing sign when you go into the occasion. And the key, one of the key words is the word foundation. You see, signs of the zodiac, there's so much that you could say, but one of the things they often represent certain,
Just came by to say hi, so you know,
and
Oh, yeah, thanks for
Cancer,
coming by. I'm glad you're
one
all
of
right.
the main spiritual principles that it
I can
conveys is the so-called principle of foundation.
I'm just trying to look
When you think about it,
what's going on.
if it's the sign of the mother, mother's pretty foundational to it. If it's the sign of the home is pretty foundational to it. So on a deeper level, it is the nature of foundation. So a Cancerian disciple is somebody who should see their service to humanity, to see it as a role to play as a foundation upon which others can thrive and grow because your loving wisdom is a foundation to them. You see? Let me show you the mantra. I build a lighted house, and therein dwell. I build a lighted house, and therein dwell, and that's the house of one's life. Okay? So much more I could say, but I can't. Gotta keep my pace. Let's go to the next sign. Oh, she is good. She is good. She is good. And keep doing that, because normally this is a 2-hour session, but I've been told I've got to really compress it for time reasons. But I will do these rulers. Traditional ruler is the moon. Esoteric ruler is Neptune. And Neptune, in the highest sense, Neptune is the Christ. If you want to find the Christ in your chart from a planetary perspective, look at that. A lot of people talk about Neptune in a negative way, it makes you foggy, leads to depression. That's only the lower negative effects when it's working through an imperfect instrument. But Neptune, on a higher level, is pure, unfettered, Christ-like compassion. esoteric being. The will to be the authentic self and the power to convey illumination. People here? Two? What's the odds of that?
I walked in with you.
Okay. Well,
So I put food out, then I turn the water on. He goes start eating it, so I go walk so I can sneak out and shut the door. Then I see him, then I jump, and I start running, so he starts running too.
you know, they traditional, there's an old joke about Leo. There's an old joke. The joke goes like
My
this.
magic wand, paint the picture.
And I have to be honest with you, I'm a Leo, so I have a right to tell the joke. But we are told that the first ray, it's another first ray sign, and it brings in the will in three ways. The first is the so-called will to be, the will to be. Leo is all about finding yourself. Every Leo person should be who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And of course, that's a hypothesis. I mean, if you were to be asked that question 10 years ago, you'd probably answer it a bit different than you would now. And so one of the big interesting things about Leo is that, it's symbolized by the lion.